Welcome back to the SMME Sales and Marketing course. This is Chapter 1, Forecasting and Goal Setting. Forecasting. There's a saying that goes, if you aim for nothing, you will hit your target every time. You need to start by setting a clear revenue goal. A good goal is where one can make measurable progress in a reasonable amount of time. The goal must also be attainable. This is done by considering what steps need to be taken in order to achieve that goal, basically being realistic. So you need to set realistic goals for your company. We're starting first with the goal. You can't now say you just started a company yesterday, you have started a car wash, and you're going to become a millionaire in the next 2 weeks. That's not a realistic goal. You haven't even seen how things go. You just started yesterday, and now you think you're going to be a millionaire in the next few weeks. It's not realistic. And this is the thing that happens to some of our small businesses, that you set goals that are unrealistic. Everybody goes into business believing they're going to become a millionaire next week. They're going to become a millionaire by the end of the month because they are sentimentally attached to whatever business they are doing. But the only way you can get to becoming a millionaire is by having a goal that you stick to and that you work towards. There is no soccer team, for example, Manchester City, that won the title 4 times in a row. There's no way that you would go to them and ask them, how did you win the title 4 times in a row? And they say, look, we just kicked the ball around in the field and all of a sudden we were like surprised that we won. They had a plan. They had a plan. They bought players. They practiced. They went through every game. They knew how many points they had to get at each stage. They had a plan to get there. Things that are great don't happen by surprise. They happen by planning. So the revenue goal needs to be set monthly, weekly, and daily, depending on the number of business days you work in your industry. For example, if you want to make 50,000 Rand in a month, you will divide this by the selling price of your base product. You need to choose one product and then use that to determine your forecasting. So you need to set a goal for each product individually and then product mixes afterwards. This makes your life easier. Don't try and just set a goal that you're going to sell everything that you're selling, but focus on one product. Focus on selling one product or one service at a time so that you can see which product or service is making you the most money. And then you can focus on that product or service. And some people, like I said, go into business and they're very sentimental. So, for example, they start selling things that people are not buying. But once you've focused on one product or one service and you've singled it out, then you've seen which one does best or which two put together do best. Then you can focus on that so that you can make money. At the end of the day, we're trying to make money. We don't really mind what we are doing as long as it's legal and it is not harmful to people. We want to make money. So let's say it is a cake that sells at 500 Rand. That means that you have to sell 100 cakes in a month to make that 50,000 Rand. And that is 25 cakes in a week, and that is 5 cakes in a day. So we took the 100 cakes. We first took the 50,000, we divided it by the price, which is 500, gave us 100 cakes that we need to sell. And then in a month, if it is 25 cakes in a week, you divide the 100 by 4, it gives you 25. And then 5 cakes in a day, that's 5 days in the week. You divide 25 by 5, it gives you 5. So you're going to come up with some numbers, and sometimes this number is not a whole number. You will just round it up. So it might be 16.35. You will round it up to 17. So that's about how simply you're going to do it. Considering capacity to fulfill goals. When you're setting your goals, you must put your capacity to produce the product and or fulfill the service into consideration. There's no point in you wanting to sell panel beating services for 15 cars a week and your workshop only has space for 5 and your workforce is only comprised of 2 people. So you won't be able to complete what you said you were going to complete. You have too much. Your goal is too great. You can't reach it with your capacity. You don't have enough capacity. And this is a problem that has happened to me I was once in a business where I had too much work and I couldn't fulfill the work. I was selling it for too cheap. That's also another issue. But I had too much work and I couldn't fulfill the work. And as a result, now the one client was posting that I am a scam, that I am a con artist. And it wasn't because I was a con artist, because I did the same work for so many other people. However, I couldn't fulfill his demand, and therefore it made me look bad and it made my business look bad. So you need to consider the capacity that you have to be able to provide your product or your service. The main aim of business is to grow into big business. Nobody goes into business planning to stay small and sell to 6 people. Nobody does that. Everybody wants to go into business and become great at some point. And there's no problem with starting small, but don't start a small business. That means when you are starting, when you're setting things up, set things up as if it's going to be a big business, and then just start at a small capacity. Right? To scale effectively, small businesses must adopt a mindset and operational approach of big business. Put in systems, processes, governance, and marketing strategies that are like big businesses. In order to scale, one must have duplicable processes that they can duplicate by opening branches or by adding more resources. So, in other words, like this course that you are taking, this course is going to teach you how big businesses do marketing. So big businesses, you find your multinationals, Coca-Cola, Nissan, Toyota, the big businesses, they do the same thing. They have sales forecasts. They also have targets that they have to reach. And they have teams that are bigger, but each and every member of those teams must reach their targets so that the whole company can also reach the company targets. So you are doing the same things that big business is doing, but you're doing it starting small. Practical exercise. All right, so now we're going to go into the practical exercise of how you're going to do this, how you're going to forecast, how you're going to set your goals. So you need a pen and a paper to write it down. If you're using a computer or a phone, you can take your notes there, but you need somewhere where you're going to write down this stuff that you're going to do now, because you're going to come back to it. You're going to look back to it to see what were you planning to do and are you sticking to your goals. So first you pick your monthly target. You decide how much money you want your business to make each month, and you write it down on a piece of paper, or you take notes of it on the phone or on the computer, like I said. So for example, we're going to go with the same example that we've been using: 50,000 rand selling cakes. All right. And then the second step that you're going to do is you're going to calculate the monthly sales that you need, calculate how many products or services you need to sell in a month to hit that target. In order for you to make 50,000 Rand, how many products do you need to sell, or how many services do you need to sell to reach that goal? So you just need to divide that 50,000 Rand or 100,000 Rand or whatever amount that you're looking at, or 10,000 Rand if you want to start there. And then you divide that by the price of your product or service that you offer. If it's 200 Rand, if it's 500 Rand, you divide the 50,000 by 500, or the 50,000 by 200. And then in this case, you find that it equals 100. So I need to sell 100 products during this month in order for me to have 50,000 at the end of this month. And then you break it down daily. You divide that number by 25 if you are working 25 days a month. If you're working on Saturdays as well, you can divide it by 25 to see how many you need to sell each day to reach your goal. Divide 100 units by 25 days, it means that you must sell 4 units per day. So if you're baking cakes, it means you need to be able to bake 4 cakes a day and to sell 4 cakes a day, at least, in order for you to get to 50,000 Rand. Now, if you just stood and said, I want to get to 50,000 Rand, or I want to make 50,000 Rand at the end of the month, it seems like a very huge target. But once you break it down to the daily amount, and you see that, oh, I only need to make 4 cakes in a day. And if this is your full-time job, I'm sure you can be able to do that. Make 4 cakes in a day and then sell 4 cakes in a day. And then you get you to your goal at the end of the month. So you focus on what you have to do on a daily basis, so that when you go to work every day, when you go to work on your business every day, you know what is expected of you for that day. That by the end of that day, you should have reached your target. If you haven't, then you need to make whatever changes or whatever corrections in order to reach your goal for the month. I hope this is making sense. And now that you have your daily, weekly, and monthly sales targets, which you will measure against the practical exercises we will do in the next chapters. So you will then be able to measure your success after every day, every week, and every month. And you can take corrective measures if you're not achieving the desired results. So I start working on a Monday. I'm supposed to bake and sell 4 cakes. I only bake and sell 3 cakes. And then I know on a Tuesday, I must now bake and sell 5 cakes so that I can cover for the one that I didn't sell yesterday, so that by the end of the month, I'm still reaching my target. So it's as simple as that. And in some instances, in some industries, you don't necessarily make sales every single day. In some instances, you make sales every 2 weeks, but it doesn't matter as long as you know how many sales you need to make, and then we're going to work towards getting those sales. So I hope you are excited. Let's get into it. Let's set some goals.